Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back here for another live stream. Usually live broadcasting Sundays and Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. So here we are, start time, right on time. Typically in the past I have been doing my live streaming on Twitch, and I've been trying out doing it over here on YouTube. So welcome. The content is listed in the title. What we're going to be doing today is a commentary for Scav runs on how to make 400k profit. This is something that I've been doing the last few streams, so if you've been in previous broadcasts, it's going to be more of the same. I'll be talking about my strategies, some tips, some things that I think about as I go about doing this kind of a run, and it's strictly aimed at showing people how I generate profit. So if you're looking for tasking kind of related stuff, you know, I'm not going to be doing that on the stream here particularly, and in the future I will get back into some of my map guides. I'm just still getting situated with how much free time I can devote to all that. So anyways, we're gonna get going here pretty quick. What's up, Gat Dog? I almost called you Gat Dog. That's funny. I have a buddy that's like got a name similar to yours. So yeah, how you doing, Gat Cat? Nice to see you. I'm doing well. I got a really great bunch of marks on all my quizzes and tests last week in school, which is always nice, you know, the studying is worth it kind of thing. And yeah, there was one of the tests where I was like, I thought that I nailed this. I was sure that I had everything right. I was just cruising through it, double checked it all, you know, and then at the end I only ended up with 80%, but it was like a formatting error in an automatic grading quiz. So the teacher ended up fixing the mark, and we got the 100%. And something I didn't think I would enjoy as much as accounting. So I don't, not you know, what I'm going to school for specifically. It's not my major, but it's part of the whole process. So yeah, it's been good. And then this weekend is all about getting ahead so that I can start creating extra time for myself. And you know, school is going to be the priority, so I can't really divert my time to too much other than school until I get a really strong handle on everything. But yeah, it's going well. What about you? What's going on? How's Tarkov going for you? Let's get over here. What's up, dude? What's up, stream? So I'm gonna hop into a raid pretty quick. I just need to make sure that I have enough room. I had a busy raid a little bit ago. Actually, what I might do is just go ahead and sell a bunch of these. I think that these are selling out eventually, but I might end up tying up an offer. I don't know. This is not going the way that I wanted it to. Yeah, what do I gotta do here? You have to excuse me. Oh, I did not know that these are going for this much. Huh, that's cool. So one little money making technique you can employ immediately if you're trying to make a bit more money, and this goes specifically for your PMC, and that's I'll keep my scabbard slot empty, so when I find a knife like that in raid, I can immediately just take it, put it on my character, and you can't lose your scabbard slot. You can't lose your scabbard, you can't lose your armband, and well, actually the scabbard, there's one exception, and that's if you have one of those new cultists knives. But other than that, you're pretty safe. Let's see if I can create a... Oh, I do have a tiny bit of room here. Okay. Getting messy in my stash. Need to play and lose some more stuff. I had a real tragic match earlier today, actually, where I got lost in raid. I was trying to help a buddy out, and we were cruising along doing tasks on shoreline, and just ended up staying in too long. This is stuff that I'm gonna have to sell. I don't want to sell stuff at the beginning here. I wish I had more time. It's been a busy day. What can I do? Let's see if I can just clear up a little bit of space. I want to have space so that way whenever I get out of the raid with whatever I extract on my scav, that I have room for it. So I'm just filling up all the extra spots. Let's do this. And I think that'll be good. Good enough anyways. Let's see. Yeah. If it really gets bad, then I got a little bit of space down here. Alright, scav run. Let's go make some money. So with this kind of a run, it really doesn't matter what weapon you have. And you can do these same runs on your PMC. It goes a little bit differently because, you know, you're going to have scavs to compete with on occasion, and the beginning of a map opening is one of the hardest points to play. As far as timeline goes, I typically play in the daytime, though. You can definitely do these runs at night, especially if you know the map well. And again, the focus is going to be purely on profit. Had your second successful PMC raid. That's sweet. Good job, man. It's hard. It's hard getting into the swing of things on your PMC. It took me a while before I felt comfortable playing on my PMC regularly. In the beginning, like, so I played one wipe when I first got the game, or like a part of a wipe, and I had no idea what I was doing. Just basically did hatchet runs all the time, trying to earn money for who knew what, and yeah, didn't do much. This is before the flea market, and when I came back to the game, I really I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out, but I was still like unfamiliar with the game, so I played my scav way more than I played my PMC. My PMC, I usually would just kind of sneak around the map the whole time. It was you know, it was a good learning experience. I played the majority of the wipe with just tier 3 gear. I played basically my PMC as a scav, which was great because it kept everything super cheap, and I got to learn the maps really well, and I still had a lot of success. The only thing that's stopping you from playing as much as you want are connection issues. Something to do with memory. Oh, that sucks, man. So that's a computer related, like a hardware thing. Huh. Is it that, like, do you have 16 gigs of RAM? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Hey, what's up, Carter? How you doing? I saw your message the other day. I think I sent out a reply, but yeah, it's cool to see you, man. Absolutely got to get some games in. I've been busy too. So busy with school. I don't get a lot of Tarkov time lately. I was playing a bit earlier today with a friend because I've been just kind of like reading and playing at the same time, and I'm getting into a good spot with it. So I hope things are going well, dude. I think school's what's chewing up most of your time, right? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna commentate a bit on how I'm going about the raid, talking about the things that I think about, and we'll see how it goes. One of the first things I like to do is get cover, and I already noticed what point I'm in the raid in, which is interesting. So there's 41 minutes. That's a really long time. So I get concealment so that I can take a second with my character. I want to figure out what sort of inventory I have. I want to hotkey my meds, so I hover my cursor over 4 and 5, and I press 4 here with the S-March, 5 on the AI2. These are the hotkeys that I've essentially assigned myself. I use the same ones every single time, so I'm always using, I go heavy bleed, HP healing, and then I go light bleed, because I do like using the bandages in the game. So I know you can use things in place of a light bandage or even a heavy bandage. But it generally will just take more of a resource. And if you're still kind of unsure about how the meds work, I'm just going to open up these two and we'll look at them. So the use time, I bet you can figure that out if you're looking at it. And this one right here, it says it stops a heavy bleed. So we know that if I get a heavy bleed, which looks like a, you know, the icons will be up in the top left here. It looks like a really big bleed. The little bleed is, I think, 3 little like ones. And they're like similar style icons. And in this one here, so we see HP resource, it's got 100 of 100. Use time 2 seconds. So this is actually the fastest use healing item in the game, which is cool. Unless you count stimulants, but we're going to ignore those for a second. And then this one here has an effect that we don't use, but this would remove radiation exposure. And there is none, as far as I know, in the game yet. So that's always good to know. And someone asked last stream about pain medication. They're like, what's removes pain? Well, if you have a broken limb or some sort of like a blacked out limb, those things that are going to change how your character performs, like, you know, you'd be hobbling along with a broken limb. If you remove pain, your character will now ignore the broken limb. So it's sort of like the broken limb causes pain, and pain's what is one of the reasons why you'll like limp, but it, you know, it's very closely tied in. It's locked in with the broken limb. But anyway, so pain takes away those effects and your character will operate as normal. School's been good for me, Carter. I'm getting really good grades, man. I'm spending a lot of time in front of my laptop and my computer just studying and learning, memorizing, recalling, quizzing, but it's all going really well. One of my courses is about to start getting a little bit more difficult, and that's cool. I think I got a guy near me. But yeah, I'm enjoying them all. I'm learning a ton. I ended up going from 5 to 4 courses, which is making it a lot more manageable. I tried 5, dude. It was nuts. So I'm pretty sure there's a guy close. Another thing I want to know is what my ammo is. This will give me an idea of what my killing potential can be. Shift T is the default for this. I'm just going to do it anyways. Okay, so we have BPZ FMJ. Mainly that I have a program open on your PC like Chrome. Oh, I see. Yeah, I end up needing to close almost everything. The only thing I'll have open on my gaming PC or my PC when I'm playing is Discord, so I totally understand, dude. It sucks you're having issues. I don't know if you're like trying to troubleshoot it and having an issue with that, but there's a really great Discord that might be able to help you out if you've heard of Build a PC. Offline raids because of that. I see. Yeah, when the game's not performing well, it's really hard, especially if you're like, you wouldn't even consider going in on your PMC most of the time, I'm sure. All right, so we got a big old sniper. Oh yeah, and going back to the character setup, if there was anything on my character that might impede my ability to play, like some of the low-level helmets, like level 1, level 2 helmets, some of them actually cover your ears and reduce your hearing. But level 1 and level 2 helmets don't stop any rounds in the game. There's literally no ammo that they'll stop, so you just get rid of them. There's a like small exception that some helmets have a high ricochet chance, so they'll bounce a round off even if they're not capable of protecting you from that round from like a class of armor. Sometimes the ricochet will just completely negate the round. Well, that sucks about your computer there, GatCat, but at least you can play a little bit. Offline raids are good. You can get a handle on the maps. That's a really valuable thing to do, is just to get into the maps, play them, run on them, start to get a sense of where you are. It's tough though. I like to check my extracts at the start too, and we've been chilling for a little while, so we've let a little bit of the map develop. And when I say that, the map developing, it's that the longer the time goes on, the more stuff has happened, the more people have been eliminated because they've gotten into combat for one reason or another. And so the map inherently becomes safer the longer it goes on. But we know that we are going to have to extract at Old Gas Station or at Crossroads. So Crossroads, it's a little bit tough if you're newer. You probably don't know where I am right now. This direction I'm facing is the big man-made bridge of Customs. I don't know if we got him. Possible. Get up here. Don't think we got him. We would see the body right there. It's close. Anyway, so there's the man-made bridge. This direction. So this is that like sniper roadblock over here. Off to the right is dorms. There's a construction yard right there. And what I want to be moving and making my way towards, are the loot caches. So another thing that I'm always curious of in the beginning, like what is my potential as a character? And in this case, I'm looking for profit, so my potential is guided completely by the amount of spaces that I have. And I have a very low amount of space, so I'm going to be looking for ways to increase my space as I play. At the very start of a raid, I always prioritize finding things that are going to help me survive. And you can easily make an argument that the more space you have, the easier you can survive because you can carry more medication and whatnot. So I'm going to be looking for that purely from a profit and from a survival standpoint. And if there was something that I was trying to find for a quest, that would be another priority. So I'm just having a look around. I'm taking my time. That's one of the best tips that I could give a player too that is having a bit of a tough go with the game, is to take your time. You don't need to crawl around everywhere. I know that you're probably going to feel like that's... Uh-oh. I've got 2 heavy bleeds. I can't even fix them. That's a player. No, it's not. What are you? You have a heavy bandage? Oh my god, it was a player. Ah. Did I black out a leg? I did. Oh no. Okay. We're gonna need more meds, but this is... I don't know what that dude was doing. I don't think he was sure what he was doing either. So we're in emergency mode right now. I'm gonna... Oh no. Let's see what else he's got in here. Awesome. You can't even write this script. Welcome to the game, level 5. He's probably checking the map website. I saw him scope in right before I turned back up into him. I don't know why he didn't take a shot though. Okay, so I gotta be choosy here about what I'm healing. Okay, so that guy's gone. I'm so scared right now. So I'm doing this because I want to specifically choose which limb that my heals are going to go to. And typically I think that the game will prioritize the most damaged one. That poor man. And the fact that he had a survival kit, and this says that it's found in raids. We can see this little check mark. Poor man. Okay, so this is perfect. Obviously, you know, a unique situation, but ideally this is my gear setup here for a scav. So if we ignore all the weaponry, I want a rig, I want a backpack, and I want a rig inside my backpack. Because this not only takes up 9 spaces, it actually provides 10 spaces. So I get a bonus space. Welcome to Tarkov. Oh my god, I'm a bully. You didn't have any meds on him. Why no meds? Why no meds, sir? Okay, so what can I do here? Like, I guess I don't really need his weapon for killing potential. Yeah, let's do this. So I'm gonna get rid of my rig. So I can bring this. Just in case, you know? Don't ask me why I think these headphones are better, but I do believe that they are. Okay, so going back to what I was saying before is generally I like to have a rig in here. Right now I'm prioritizing survival and having killing potential at this point. Because it's so early in the raid, it's not a bad idea. So that's what I'm going for right now. Wrong place, wrong time for that dude. Okay. So we're getting better. What I'm also trying to do now is limit some of my space, so I don't need to have so many sniper mags. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna actually just take some of the bullets, and I'll keep 2 sniper mags on my character. So get rid of you. Little tip that if you move a mag around in your inventory and it's full, it will show as full. So that's what I'm doing right here. I can tell that these are both. We're just gonna hang out right here. Everyone's gonna keep coming to us, and that's how we're gonna play this raid. Oh my. No! Oh! Man, I got stuck in my reload. I didn't really want to go down there, but I did. I don't even understand. Okay. So that's not typical. I thought he would cower too in the back. That's why I went prone at first. Yeah. That's definitely an F. All right, let's try and do a cheap run on my PMC, since I'm gonna have to wait too long, I think, for my scav. Yeah, 17 minutes. So I'm gonna try and pull off a cheap run on my PMC that someone that's like new could essentially emulate. And I'm just gonna get rid of a bunch of this stuff. That was interesting. Let's see. New player could have 1 grenade. That new player definitely would not be using a vector. What could we use? I think a basic MP5 with some like cheap rounds is what I'll use. So all stuff that's accessible with level 1 traders is going to be the name of the game. With one, I guess, small exception, and that's that I will use a scav backpack or day pack, whatever. And I guess I can bring a different med. Yeah, I'll bring the stuff. I'll bring the right stuff. See what we can do here. All right, so this is all good. I'll get rid of the green stem. You guys can't have that. You guys could have found these things because, you know, I'm gonna bring these. These will be my like kind of outlier. And what else do I need? So I'm gonna need mags. I need a rig. So let's grab bank robber. It's kind of the go-to. Oh, stash. I'm so sorry. Let's get 3 of these mags. See what kind of ammo we're hiding in here. I'm not gonna bring that. You can go there. Perfect. And I suppose I could get rid of this suppressor, so we're doing pretty good here. I think I actually have a stock MP5. What are you? How do you... That's what we'll take off. And now we're gonna get... You sell the rounds? I don't think he does. I think it is someone else. So when you're trying to decide what round you should bring, you basically want to bring the highest pen possible. So I have 3 mags, which is going to be 90. I want to take 1 extra bullet for the chamber, 91. And then I want to bring, let's say, 2 stacks of backup ammo. Here we go. Let's grab you. Normally my inventory is not like this. I apologize if this is like just absolutely awful to anyone. Ammo. Stack of ammo. So stacks of ammo extra, I would say as a general rule of thumb, should be kept in your safe container. And if you're wondering how you would achieve this weapon on level 1 traders, so you're going to be going to Peacekeeper, and you're going to trade in those metal knives right there. Actually, I was wondering what this trade is. Okay, it's dog tags. And then I think you may be able to buy these right off the bat, or you may unlock them. I'm not sure. So I apologize if I'm going a little bit outside the parameters here. This is looking pretty good so far. Meds. This is unlocked with a task and at level 1, so I guess we'll bring... I feel alright about bringing the car battery. If you didn't have one of these, you would just bring a couple, or like two AI2s, right? Most people end up having an IFAK early on, or you found one, so, you know, I recommend keeping that in your gamma if you're trying to keep true to the situation here. And then we'll grab, I guess I'm going to get 2 of these. I'm going to get 2 of these, and I'll get 2 of these. Oh, my stash hurts my brain. So I'm gonna bring this as my setup. Oh, and painkillers too. Painkillers are a must. You have to have them. So I'm gonna, like I said, heavy bleed. I do my meds. I do my light bleed, and then usually 7 is my painkiller. And I'm gonna keep these extras in here just in case I end up needing them. So I'm gonna bring my own, like, you know, double splints. Let's assume that I don't have an alu. And if you didn't have, you know, if you didn't have this big pouch, you wouldn't bring the docs case, and then you would probably keep your stack of ammo on your person. Whatever the lowest cost item is, you'll keep on your person. So, you know, in this case here, an IFAK does have a pretty good value, and if you couldn't get it yet, then it would have a very high value to you. And then same thing with a CMS. Vaseline, maybe you wouldn't be using, so, you know, actually let's do that. So we'll do it like this, and I'll say that this is my you know, alpha container, my extra ammo, and then this is pretty common. So I'd have this helmet, and then for armor, so if you have access to the flea market, I'll show you the armor that I use all the time whenever I'm playing low level. This is the best, like, low level armor, I think. The Zook. Let's get... Just trying to find the right value here. I guess this one. So this is a class 3 armor, which is fine against scavs. And I don't pay the expensive price. You can choose proper, skier, or mechanic. I just choose proper, and then repair. You know, it'll cost you a bit every time you repair it, especially if it's zeroed out. But it's yeah, that's totally reasonable. I'm gonna get rid of those classes. You would just use any kind of mask. The masks really don't provide any kind of specific advantage, so, you know, any kind of mask would be fine. And this is what our dude's gonna look like. So we got the helmet, we got the headphones, which you can get at level 1 on Ragman. We've got Ragman's vest at level 1. We've got an armor that I'm buying from the flea market, though you would find this in Raid too. And same thing with the backpacks. I'm always finding these, and I will show you what insurance fraud is in the game as long as we make an opportunity for it. And then I have a super basic gun, so nothing fancy about this, just a stock MP5 with basic rounds, and we are going to be mag dumping on everything we see. Okay, let's try this out, and then if I successfully manage to get out of the raid, I will have some sort of inventory crisis. I am ensuring a key that I don't need to. Get rid of you, get rid of you. So yeah, I hit the insure all button, and then I come to this little list right here, and I'll right click stuff that I don't want to necessarily insure. And I think this is good. So insurance will seem like a cost that's not worth paying in the beginning, but I assure you, as long as you start taking advantage of insurance more and more, that it is the right choice. You should always insure your gear 100% of the time, no matter what it is. You can make a profit with insurance, and I will try and give an example of that. Okay, so here we go. Let's give it a shot. Now, there's a disclaimer that no matter how good you are at Tarkov, playing with a gear set like this, it will be harder than any other, if you're using a better gear set. And the way that I look at gear is that if you have higher level gear, it's going to add a multiplier to your normal survival rate. So if you're someone that can already survive quite well, better gear is going to increase that, like by a percentage amount. So if, normally I survive at 50%, if I use really good gear, it's going to go up by 10 or 20%. So now I'm maybe at 60%. And the same thing would apply for you. So if your normal survival rate is 20% and you're using really good gear, you're not going to suddenly become a god gamer. You should be able to generate somewhere between 30 and 50% survival rate, even with low level gear, as long as you're playing appropriately to your gear. It's when you try and play beyond your gear ability that you'll run into issues. And you have to simply acknowledge that there are some people that I shouldn't fight. I should actually avoid those fights. And if I can, I'm going to try and do that. And I'll try and take the fights that I need to, but otherwise I'm going to be mostly looking for loot. So the hardest part of the whole match is going to be the very start if I run into a group of players, which I have no idea how it'll go. And then the first 10 minutes or so are the most challenging, I find. And I'll show you how I approach the map in order to mitigate risk as much as possible, but we'll see. It's really, we're kind of at the mercy of where we spawn. We are at the mercy of randomness. Players just all spawn around us, then we might run into some craziness. I was really surprised at how many player scavs we ran into there. I'm pretty sure the first person in that last raid that we just did, I'm pretty sure the first person that shot us near the bridge was a player scav. We ran up top, we ended up running into some random PMC, killed him, killed another PMC, killed a player scav, and I think at least one or two other player scavs were in that mix. So just everyone was converging on that spot. I really wanted to get a reload in. And this is my minimum kit right here too. So if you're trying to decide what should you be using when you go into a raid, the weapon can be interchangeable. If you wanted to use something that's slightly better, there are a few ways that you can upgrade an AK series weapon early on. You can get a sight on it. You can there are a couple ways of doing that, and it's all through level 1 traders as well. So yeah, but this gear that I'm wearing, the rig, the backpack, the vest, the helmet, the headphones, these are all the ones that I normally take. All right, so let's go. This is not a bad spawn by any means. There's nobody that's going to be in front of me here, so I get essentially this part of the map for free, and I can decide now if I want to go to the right and try and get these loot caches right off the bat. I think I'm going to try. We'll see. We'll see what we see. So mainly just checking out over here. A player could have come out there already. Wanted to see if I can spot anyone coming across that way. So I'm looking over my shoulder using my middle mouse to the left. Try and see what's going on over there. Come around the corner, ready to shoot. There shouldn't be anybody here right now, but I don't want to let my guard down just because I think that no one should be here. And anytime I loot a container, I'm always trying to get my character's view looking up towards where I should be looking. So we can do this right here. So I move my rig into my backpack, alt click, control clicking everything. Now I'm searching. I'm just gonna click and drag this stuff in. I'm just gonna try and get out of my menu as quick as I can. Hey, what's up, Kjin? Still can't find any extracts. Any tips? Yeah. I can talk you through a little bit of the tips that I would recommend for you right now while I play. So when I mentioned earlier about what like I mentioned the phrase insurance fraud. I'm gonna get out of here before I get pinched or anything. I mentioned insurance fraud. So insurance fraud is when you've insured something and then you intentionally hide your insured gear after replacing it in raid. And we're just going to ditch our gear right here. This is as good of a spot as any. So what I've done is I've replaced my gear with equal or better gear from the raid. It could be found in raid, it could be not, it doesn't matter. Found in raid gear will always inherently be better. So if you have equal items, same items, one found in raid, one's not, you can tell so by this bottom little check mark. So that's found in raid. That's how I decide what to keep. And then if I wanted to expand my inventory, I could keep my rig right here, but me hiding my rig now means that I'm likely to get it back in insurance, and so I sort of make a bit of money in that way. I reduce my risk in the raid, and then whenever I get that other one back, because I get this one out, I'm making money with insurance. Yeah, Words and Stuff has a good point there. So always having a second screen up with a map, if that's not available to you, I mean, most people have some sort of a device, right? Like a phone. And I like... So, Kjin, have you... Have you tried going into an offline raid with either a map up or a video guide up? Have you tried either of those? And maybe give me some context too as to what map it is that you're trying to learn. You've got an iPad, awesome. So the maps that I like to use, if you haven't found the website yet, it's mapgenie.io. So map, mapgenie.io/Tarkov. And then he'll have a listing of all of the different maps that are available. I think Reserve might be a pro-only feature right now, but all the other maps are there. And it'll look really busy, so you'll want to just hit hide all on the filters that are up. But that's one place that I would start. And so obviously the trick becomes like, how do I know where I am? And that's where video guides generally are a good way to start. So you said you found my guide, which is great because I give you some names, some things to think about. I even give you a mini map on there, so it can potentially help orient you. Because what you need to figure out is you need to know where you are on a map, and then relate it to the map on your like iPad, and then be moving towards those directions. And then the challenge is going to come up where, say you're trying to learn scav extracts. If you're trying to learn a scav extract and you've never seen it before, you may go to the wrong place just because you don't know the small area. And this is totally, by the way, if you're playing on your PMC and you're having a hard time, doing what I'm doing right now would be a perfect use of your time. Just chill somewhere safe for 5-10 minutes. Thanks, man. Map Genie is awesome. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. And definitely, like, if you're struggling, use a video guide so that you can at least see where they are. Once upon a time, I brought up a video guide where it was just like all the scav extracts, and this, the video was one where it would, a person would be like slightly away from it, and then they would walk up and you'd see them extract there, and then they'd, you know, teleport over to another spot just so you could see the places. And I totally acknowledge that it's a real trick. It's hard to learn them all at the very beginning. There's a lot of information you need to take on, so finding them in an offline raid is my #1 recommendation. Playing the game and reinforcing what you've tried to memorize in the past within a short enough time so that you can remember. So if you know you're somebody that's going to forget things quickly, you know, play your offline raid, immediately go back in, try and figure where you are, get back to the exact same spot. If you're someone that remembers things reasonably well, then maybe you just go and play a raid and try and find that spot again anyway. Yeah, welcome to Tarkov. Dude, there's people that haven't survived a raid in like 80, 90 raids, and they love it. They're definitely like a little bit a little bit funny in the head. As soon as I turn off the video guide, I get totally lost. So what I would do is this then, Kjin. Pick a starting point, right? Use the video guide to follow to that starting point. Then get yourself back to that same starting point and then go as far as you can, as much as you can remember, and then use the video guide whenever you get stuck. And then like just take it one step at a time. You may need to like you may need to pick a smaller chunk of information to try and remember instead of like one big long route. Pick a smaller area. So go from one spot to the next and just do that and then slowly build on that. So I find that whenever people have problems with assimilating information, generally they're trying to chew too much. So that might be where you're running into. Okay, so let's get going. Anyways, when I spawned on this other side of the map, I was literally about to point you towards the direction, realizing that you would have no context. So this is the big main bridge in front of me. I know that might be hard to think about, but that's exactly what it is. So that's the big man-made bridge. Every time I stop, I think I hear something. When you spawn on the crossroads side of the map, your extracts will always be the same as the ones that I have right now on a PMC. And since I've let the map develop, people can be anywhere, so this is actually great because I'm going to be able to move around the map in a way that I would recommend that you approach, especially if you're playing custom. So I'm going to show you the safest possible route that I know, and we'll see how it goes. No matter how safe you think you are, how well you play the game, you can still get crushed by people that are just in every which place. I mean, it just happens. Sometimes you're just going to get either lucky or unlucky or, you know, some mixture. Anyways, let's go. So I'm using a low-level kit right now, and I'm playing on my PMC for loot caches. And you'll notice that there are a few points where I do run, but for the most part, I'm trying to play slow and methodical. So I run when I'm in a very vulnerable position where there's no cover, and then I try and walk whenever I can. And I'm making sure that I clear everywhere. So like when I walked up to here, I looked behind that tree, and I looked behind that rock. If someone was in the middle of everywhere, then I would see them. You know, I focus my attention down on these bushes. I look back now over my shoulder. And anytime I create like a blocked line of sight, I now consider that area safe for the time being. So we got a scav right here. If you ever hear somebody running and they skid stop and that's it, it's almost like 99 times out of 100 a scav. And the skid stopping is this. Can I even do it? How do I... No. How... I don't even know how to do it anymore. Actually, this is really hard. How do you... I don't know. I don't remember how to do it, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know how to do it. I use toggle to sprint, so I think that's one reason why I don't like skid around. And if you ever come out of a sprint by going left or right, you won't skid. See you while running. Thank you. So if you ever, yeah, that's one way for sure. So you'll see, like, I went to the end of this area here. I went all the way around to the end because I wanted to make sure that there was nobody over here. I wanted to be clear of what was in this area. So now I have an idea. And now I'm doubling back across. And anytime that I'm in a vulnerable area, I'm going to try and move a little bit quicker. And that guy over there, like, I'm not going to try and loot him. There's no reason for me to. It's a really bad spot. So now that I've broken line of sight, I'm going to continue to move along, and I'm going to keep moving from cover to cover to cover, all the while scanning around. And the hardest part for a new player is knowing where to look, but it becomes really logical. So where people should be are near cover pieces. You know, someone can be walking in the middle of nowhere, and that's fine. You have to be ready for that, and hopefully you can, you know, snap your aim to them and get a good shot. But for the most part, I'm looking for the areas that are not so, like, contrasty. You know, anything that a person could be hiding against or using for cover, that's where I'm looking. So I just looked in the bus, I looked aside, and I'm just moving quietly like this. Like, this is how I play the one of my ways of playing the game, and this is how I was really successful as a newer player. I've been caught by somebody hiding in this spot so many times that I tend to pre-aim going into there. And if you think that there might be danger, I recommend pre-aiming. So I'm just being cautious here, looking around. A lot of the time scavs are going to move, so it's mostly what my eyes are training for right now. There's so much stuff here. So we're going to make our break. I'm going to look left. Ready to shoot. Get close to cover. Now we're at one of our objectives, which are these barrel caches and the ground caches. Nice, Cat. You know it from Phantom Forces. I have a few games that I was like quite proficient in. Tarkov, I'm getting there. Definitely getting there. So since I have the opportunity to, I can take some time, reload my mags. This is something you're going to want to keep on top of, and it'll allow you to take less magazines into the match. So reloading your mag is simply just dragging loose ammo onto the magazine that needs it. And that's something that, like, you should be regularly checking. Anytime you get into a concealed area, you can take a moment, like, check your gear, see what's going on. Someone's crawled from one side of the map to the other. I've done it. I wouldn't even play my PMC for the longest time. I would do this. So when I was getting into the game, I kind of knew customs reasonably well. I've been playing my Scav on it all the time. I'd load in on a PMC, and I'm getting nervous, more and more nervous, and I hit cancel. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go play another Scav. Like, I was, I think I had more than enough money, so it wasn't even about, like, I couldn't afford to lose the stuff. I was just terrified of this game, and it would jump scare me all the time. Like, Tarkov is one of the few games that can get your heart racing like crazy. I'm just trying to come around, be smart in my angles. This spot right here, when I'm playing on my PMC, I almost always will slow walk through. So your soft skills, your skills that your character develops as you play, like your endurance, your covert ability, your covert movement. So these things all level up by using them. And so periodically I like to take advantage of a time or a place that suits this kind of movement. And this always seems to be my spot for this. I always go on my PMC, but I don't insure my pistol. You should always insure your pistol, always. And for this reason right here. So you have your pistol on you, and, you know, the insurance is whatever, like, you know, let's say 900 rubles or 1,000 rubles. So you kill something and then find another pistol. So you throw your pistol inside of a bush, you take that other pistol, you extract from the raid. Awesome. You get your insurance back, you get that other pistol. So you're able to carry out an extra item. So it sort of like acts like extra inventory space if you want to think about it in that way. As well, if somebody kills you, chances are they're not going to be able to, you know, take your pistol out of the raid. That person that killed you, someone else will have to have found it. So there's a couple of reasons why ensuring your items is a good idea. And then as well, if you do die and some... I'm scared. If you do die, there's still a chance that people won't take your gear, so you'll get it back. Insurance is worth it 100% of the time. When you get proficient at doing that little that swapping thing that I was telling you, where you throw your stuff in a bush and take someone else's stuff out, you actually make money with insurance. He's out on that main road. Yo, what's up, Jerzane? Feels good to know that playing slow and careful is okay because all my friends play like Chads. Uh-huh. I like playing that fast way, but I also really enjoy the slow. So when a scav has aggro on you, you can do two things to break the aggro on them. You go into covert mode, which is that quieter thing you see on the bottom left of the screen. The sound icon goes away. As soon as the sound icon goes away, you're in covert mode, and you break line of sight. As long as you do those two things, the scav won't know where you are. And you can approach from a different angle, and he won't automatically shoot at you. It's not to say that he's not looking for you actively. It's sort of like he's lost sight of you, so now he's like in search mode. He's not in attack mode. But yes, it's totally fine to play Tarkov in like the slow, methodical way. Tarkov was meant to be played in any way that you want, and if anything, like the whole like Chad way is something I think that they never planned for people to be able to do, and they're going to keep throwing nerfs to slow people down. I totally understand there, Kajin, in terms of like thinking that playing that way is the cheapest way to play. But being cheap, you can actually take advantage of insurance in like a really big way, and that's like the ultimate like profit maker for your gear. And as well, if you ever play with anyone, then a really common thing that people will do is they'll hide each other's gear. So insuring your gear means that you're going to get it back. But yes, it can absolutely make you money. You should insure everything, every piece of gear, even like the joke rigs, the nothing stuff. So I might come back to that guy later. He's he's in a spot I don't really want to stick my head down into. Nah, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's see. There's a few really good content creators out there that love to play like the slow and methodical way. And they're really fun to watch. And there's a difference between slow and methodical and then just sitting like scared in one bush the whole game. And there's nothing wrong with either. So this backpack, I mean, I'm gonna take it, but I don't really want to. Let's just get all of this stuff here. So my hope when I'm looting is to get away from a body as quick as I can and organize my loot again later. So in terms of insurance frauding, so here's a play for backpacks. If you find an equal size backpack, then you throw yours down in a raid somewhere and you wear out the other one. I don't know why I wasn't using my Salua. Let's do that. So I'm just going to do a little inventory remanage. So a rig inside my backpack is good because I'm increasing my space. I'm going to put my ammo closer to my mags so that I can make it quick. I may as well put all these meds that I may end up using somewhere close to where they will be used. This med I'm going to put near the top. Things that I know that I want to keep that are of like sort of a worthy value. And I'm pretty sure these are decent round. Can't remember how much they are, but I think everything in here has about a value of 10,000 rubles. And I'm always thinking about gear or loot in like the value per square. So a WT rig is a good example. You can buy one of these on the flea market for 11,000, and it takes up nine slots. So it's just over 1,000 per square. That's not very good value, but because this doesn't take away spaces, it creates spaces. There's a value in me having it. But if it was like, let's say an SKS, so I can make this little one smaller by taking out that mag. But an SKS is worth, I think, around like 18 to 20k. Let's say 20k, make it easy. It takes up 5 squares, so I divide 20k by 5. So this is worth 4,000 per square. And most things that you find along the way can be worth that like minimum 10k per square marker. So that's usually what I'm aiming for. So I'm gonna put this ammo in my rig. That way I can top load the gun. And I think we're good here. Yeah, Tuesdays and Sundays, just like Gat said. Thanks, Gat. Appreciate it, man. What stuff should I throw into my alpha case? Whatever's the highest value. So when you're making your decision, so I'm intentionally leaving stuff out of here just so I can sort of emulate the alpha container a bit. You want to know what the value of your items are. So PSC, 50 rounds PSC, GZH, I don't know, but let's just say a guess of 5k. So if I know that these are worth 5,000, then I'm going to want to put something else that's worth about 10,000 in my alpha container. CMS, you know, it's worth 15k for me to buy them, but if you can't get them yet, then it has a higher value. So, you know, you might not want to get rid of them. Same thing with an IFAC if you can't quite get them, but IFACs I think are around like 17,000. So that's how I decide. It's whatever's the highest value. Even if it's something like let's say you've got all of your meds down here, right? Well, this splint cost me 2,000, and if I find an item worth, like this G phone, I think is worth about 10,000. So I would rather hold my splint on my character, be at risk for losing it, but if I get out of the raid, I sell my G phone, I can buy my splint back, and I'm still gonna have 8k profit. That's how I think about what goes in my alpha container. So the highest value, and you'll definitely need to know what the, you know, values of your own items are, but and that's something that comes with time. Like, you know, knowing the values of all the different items is a lengthy endeavor. Yeah, Tuesdays and Sundays. I'm full-time student right now. I'm a full-time student that knows how to use correct grammar when he needs to. So I'm just trying to be careful as I move up. I'm gonna get another one of these caches. And this is the loot that I would recommend you learn first, are these hidden caches. And there's no way to easily learn them outside of a video guide, in my opinion. So I'm gonna grab that. So here's a good example. So like a screw nut would be, if I only had 4 squares, I would place now the screw nut with the wires because it has a higher value to me. I've been playing for a couple of years, and I'm mostly focus on trying to work on content whenever I'm playing now, and I play a little bit with my buddies, not too much. So in my rig, I'm going to slowly start putting things of higher value here. Oh yeah, and I'm trying to use control click as often as I can. So control click and alt click if you haven't been using it all that often. By the way, this is one of the more dangerous areas of this route that I've been running. This specific area right here. This is where you're going to need your head on a swivel. And if you're trying to like understand how can I be clearing more efficiently in terms of where you should look, like think of it in a breakdown of degrees. So, you know, you could look straight ahead would be 0, then we go 45, 45. Like that would be a way of cutting the degrees down, or something a little bit smaller. And you want to be intentional with the spacing. It's something that you'll learn over time. You'll just have muscle memory for it. keep hearing like phantom running. The most dangerous angles I'll often come into ready to shoot. And I also try not to overcommit whenever I move into an angle. And when I say overcommit, like, I'm going to get to a firm piece of cover and I'll show you what I mean. So like right here, if someone was right there, I wouldn't want to come all the way around the corner. I want to be just close to the corner. So that way I can get a shot on them and potentially have a way to move away from them. The keyboard, honestly, any keyboard is good, but I'm using a G910, a Logitech. Yeah, I got a grenade. Sweet. Some more screw nuts, lamp. And I did leave some bullets there because I know that they're junky. So I'm going to crouch in a reasonably concealed position. I'm going to organize my inventory a little bit better. I'm going to click and drag onto the picture so that it auto-sorts the stuff that I know I'm going to want to keep. And everything else that's kind of up for debate right now because these items are all lower than 10k. Actually, I think croutons are worth more than 10k. Matches, debatable. I think sometimes they can be worth more than 10k. Since we got such a big bag, we'll toss them in there. Vodka's 15k. PS rounds aren't going to ever be more than 10k if it's full stack. ES lamps are 8 to 10k. Yeah, any keyboard is a good keyboard. Keyboards do not need to be fancy. The only advice I would give on a keyboard is to not get one that's too loud, because people that don't know how to manage their mic outputs will often just be annoying to play with. Is it more accurate to stop moving and crouch, or is it okay to strafe and shoot? Yeah, it definitely depends. Your character will always be more accurate if you're crouching or proning, but it's really more about like how like you get a buff and recoil. If you're crouching, you get a buff and recoil if you're prone, and you also get a buff and recoil if you're holding your breath. But a lot of people will do what they call point shooting, and that's why you would have a tactical device on your gun. So if you have any device, any tactical device, that's a flashlight, a laser, an infrared laser, so like the one that makes just like kind of a spot of red, blue laser, any of those things, they all provide the exact same advantage to what this, you know, people like, there's a lot of like gun nuts that play this game. And so they say it's not hip fire, it's point shooting. Like you'll know it as the same thing, so that doesn't matter. It's like getting a grande at Starbucks. You know you're getting a medium coffee, right? So when you have a tactical device on, the grouping of your shots actually is tighter. Laser is easy to see where it's going. Flashlight, not so much. And if you had like a perfect dot, like if you knew how to line up the center of your screen, either from practice or you're looking at it through a laser, your character kind of shoots down and to the right. It's almost like a pool cue would be a better way of describing where your bullets come out of. So like, if I want to hit that edge right there, I kind of like need to aim sort of right there. The grouping is like pretty close because I'm so close to this thing. Can you hold your breath with any gun? Yes, absolutely. And diaries, I think, are just they're a barter item. I sell most of mine to Peacekeeper. Diaries are kind of cool too. They can fit in a docs case. They're generally a good value item. And if you're someone that hasn't quite gotten into using Peacekeeper yet, and you're like, oh, I don't want dollars, just like get your dollars and you will use them later for something. Whether it's for a quest, which you'll need a whole bunch to bribe somebody with at one point. I think you have to give like 10,000 to somebody. This is, once you get to this side of the map, by the way, it's way easier to play. You'll still run into fights from time to time, so you have to be vigilant as you run around. But this is the easiest side of the map to play on. So again, like in terms of balancing loot, if I'm just going to try and use these 4 squares, we're ignoring my docs case. I'm now going to put in my higher value item into there. I noticed that this is all full, so that's fine. I tend to make my organizational method easier or more efficient. I put the ones that are the highest value towards the bottom and my lowest value at the top. That way if I'm full and I need to start discarding things, I don't have to like cherry pick from up here, then down here, then down here, then over there. I want to make it as easy on myself as I can. And I do crouch and shoot quite a bit. I think that it comes down to your confidence level, your aim ability, the situation, you know, as mentioned before. Like if somebody was running up ahead of me and they didn't see me, crouch shooting would be a really good tactic. But you wouldn't want to necessarily slow yourself down if you were moving and then they surprised you, you wouldn't want to go into a crouch shot. In fact, if you were able to line somebody up and you knew that you're going to have a shot on them, going prone and then shooting them would be one of the best. Most guns become a laser beam whenever you're prone. How do you know what to take and what to leave behind? Part experience. I can also share, at the end of this raid, if you can remind me, I'll share a graphic with you. That has a little little bit of a helpful guide at it all. Because I have so much space, I'm going to take these chops, but I don't think that they're that high of a value. Again, I take the value that I know that it is and divide it by the amount of squares that it takes up. Should reload my weapon. And yes, control click everything. You will start to learn that there are some items when you control click them, the game puts them in your rig, so you'll naturally want to alt click, or not alt click, sorry, click and drag those. And then now I'm going to reorganize my stuff a little bit more. Vaseline, that's awesome. So I'll put my IFAK in there, Vaseline right there. If I didn't have an abundance of bandages, I would take this and keep it for later, just because I have the space, but I don't really care. This is an online raid. Yeah, the purpose of this raid was, one, like I died tragically in my Scav raid that I was going to be showing my like Scav loot run. So I just decided to hop onto a PMC, and I'm using what you would be able to get if you were level 10 with access to flea market. And not too expensive either. That was like a very important part of this. So I'm going to loot these things. You'll notice that I get looting experience, but I know that they're junk, so I'm just going to get rid of them. And actually, I want to keep hitting loot caches, so something to keep in mind, and you probably already know this, but anytime you sprint, you essentially widen the amount of distance that your character's noise can be heard from. I don't know what the exact number would be, but like a rough guess would be like 4 times as far. So that's why you're seeing me move around just methodically quite a bit. And the neat thing about moving around in this way is that if you move around, keep very aware, you can often, like you could be walking not that far from somebody, they'll never know that you're there, and you can just continue on about your merry way. And I find that a combat strategy that complements this style well would be you take fights when you can set up ambushes. So you don't necessarily want to be looking at a fight straight on. See, like control click. Ruh-roh. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. So like, okay, here's a really great opportunity to explain a strategy. When a lot of players play, they're like, oh, gunfire, I'm going to go check it out. Well, you have to think about what is the risk versus the potential reward. And 2 people that are fighting in there with guns that sound like that, doesn't sound like they have very good stuff. So we can assume that the reward level is slightly low. And right now I'm risking all of this gear. So if I go get into a fight and I lose all of this stuff, this is my risk value. So there's no point. I can just continue on and make a decent profit without going down into that fight. But that being said, if I wanted to, I could maybe come up to these rocks and have a look down, see if I could spot someone. So if I could ambush them, that would be cool. And I also know that my ammo sucks, so I'm not going to win any crazy big fights. I'm also not going to be able to shoot anyone down from a really far distance. There, it's already there. Yeah, Jin. I always catch people sprinting. It's amazing how many people I've caught off guard just walking through the map. And you can actually do this on pretty much every map. There are certain areas on every map that you're not going to want to slow down, and that's going to come with experience and time. Yeah, Jerzane, nailed it, dude. Can't count how many people I've snuck past because I didn't run. And if you want to run, like, that's a super fun way to play. There's definitely nothing wrong with it. I'm just going to leave the slugs there. So I know that I'm going to start running out of energy. Where am I at? I do have a Slickers, but I don't have a drink. So things are going to get really weird here soon. Minus 15 hydration. This ain't going to help. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start booking it towards the end. So my mistake in this regard would be that I didn't come into the raid with food, and I haven't found any. I also lose more of my energy because my character's overweight. I haven't been overweight the entire raid. But that's something that you're going to have to know, and usually looting these loot caches leads you to enough food and drink to take care of you. This is also a great way to get experience too. So if you're trying to level up your character and you're feeling like you're struggling a bit, just go and hit loot. Loot after loot after loot. So right now I'm looking over to the side and approach this angle. And by the way, inevitably, if you don't clear places as you come around them, someone is going to catch you at some point, because people will just be everywhere in the raid. Like, someone could be hiding right there for no reason. Maybe he was on the phone AFK and he came back and you just happened to be walking by. Let's see here. Come on, energy. Help. Tea, we need that. Oh no. Alright, so we're gonna do I'm gonna do a bad thing and just try and get more profit in the raid. And then we're gonna run our butt out of here. You go there. Oh, this is awkward. Here's steps. So my character's probably in a bad spot. It's okay though. We're almost out. Don't let your greed kill you though. That's that scav that we just heard. Low on energy. Has anyone got any batteries? That's not how it works. And don't get lazy. So even in this situation here, I gotta make sure that I'm staying on top of everything. Just a lot of practice, Cajun. And like thinking about the technique of looting in a logical way, right? Like over time, there were certain things that I needed to teach myself. Like I had to learn to use Control and Alt click, and I struggled with that for a little bit, but I would just, I left a sticky note on my monitor and was like, you know, Control click, Alt click, in really big letters. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you eat batteries, it gives you energy. I think so anyway. So anyway, that's like an easy low-level run. You can see here I'm getting a lot of experience from my looting, and you know, if I'd found food and ate food in raid, you get experience from doing that. You get experience from fighting. Bonus hitting headshots. You get a bonus just for, or sorry, you get experience just for clicking a body. So if you're afraid to loot something and you think you can get up to it just for a second, I'll go up to something, search the body. So I just press F on it and then immediately tab out and get away from it, so that I get a little more experience. So that's another way you can boost your experience too. Yeah, you get a ton from looting. You get a bonus multiplier just for surviving. Are you going into ZB1011? I think everyone's been ambushed at some point there, right? Exhaustion is getting me. Okay, so the graphic that I was going to share with you now. You're going to need to take a screenshot, or I can link it to you. Actually, no, I can link it to you. I'll put a link in the chat. And then I'm going to bring up the graphic and I'll talk about it just briefly. So the info that I'm about to bring up is in something called the Good Vibes Gaming Discord. It's a community Discord that I participate in the most. I do help run it. It's not specifically my Discord, but I participate in it in a community sense. And we do have a Tarkov area that I sort of, you know, help fill out the information. A little bit of conversation, not too crazy. It's not a big Discord, but yeah, there's some info here. So we're going to look at in the tips section. So this is a graphic I put together last wipe, and so there's one little explanation I'm gonna need to throw in with this, but this is the thing that I was talking about. So when you're like, what do I take out of the raid? That list is way too big, so it's actually easier to tell you what shouldn't you take out of the raid. Okay, and so this is the list right here, and I'm gonna get a link, and I'll post it in chat. So I'm finding this in the Discord, of course. So I'm just going to open it up. And how do I do it? Copy link. Say something. Here we go. So that should get you a link to this attachment. I'll explain what this is. What does it mean? So I talked about loot in a value per square. And when I look at an item, so like a DVD drive, these are sometimes a little bit more than 10K or 12K or something like that. At one point, they were worth a little bit more. We can go into the game and have a look. But anyways, it's a 2-square item. Typically, it's less than 10K per square. So I've put it on this list. These are the items that if your inventory's packed full, these are the ones that I would recommend getting rid of, with an exception that if you still need some of these things for your quests, it may be worth keeping it. Like, and by the way, you can ignore the number in the bottom right. They're just pictures taken from the flea market. So like a car battery is something that a lot of people need for a quest. So just at the very bottom here, I put in like a little disclaimer. This list is generated purely from a profit standpoint and does not include reference to items needed for quests. I want to make that clear. And then, yeah, when the rest of these items, as the wipe gets on and on and on, these items will just usually go down in value. Some things can change, like BSG will change a barter recipe, and that's why you'll see, like, if you're ever wondering, like, why is this worth so much? It's probably got a barter for it. That's usually the reason. Or the minimum value that the trader pays for it is quite high. It's one of the two. So these are the items that I would recommend you try and like look out for as a junk item, but you're just going to learn this over time. So, you know, you'll take an item out of the raid and you'll sell it. So my inventory is like nuts. I'm actually going to end the stream pretty soon, so I'm not gonna take you through this. But some other items to think of are stock weaponry. Generally aren't good to take out in your backpack. This is an exception because it's a 2-square item. But if you think about like I mean, even a Mosin, I think, unless these things are like crazy expensive right now. Okay, cool. So 38,000. So this is on the higher end, right? 42,000. We'll play up near the middle. So this is less than 10K per square because it's a 5-square item. So, you know, equipping it in your inventory on your back or on your sling, this would be a good use of your space. But if you were trying to decide like what item should I take out of the raid, it would be whatever one has the highest value in your item slot here. So it might be like a really heavily modded weapon. And then it gets a little bit tricky, right? Because then the value isn't transferable to roubles. You know, a really well-kitted weapon has a value in the right player's hands, but a new player, all of your stuff is kind of worth less when you bring it into the raid. As soon as you bring it into the raid, it's like driving a car, a brand new car out of a dealership. I mean, most of us probably haven't done that, but if you take a $50,000 car and drive it out of the dealership, it's already worth like, you know, a fraction of what it was before. Some fractions. It's not that bad, but everything is worth less as soon as you bring it into the raid, and then the level of your skill will sort of like drive your value down. So if you buy a 400,000 or 400,000 ruble HK, one that's like modded like crazy, and you're a brand new player with a 20% survival rate, it's probably worth more to you as rubles, even selling it to the dealer. And then you should bring in a cheaper gun that you can be like reasonably effective with, that you're not going to break the bank whenever you're doing it. And you know, use the fancy guns now and again, but there's definitely some like economical strategy that you can employ there if you're choosing, should I use an expensive gun or should I not? Everything looks valuable to a noob like me, and it all has a value. So like, let's look at just a few items in my inventory here. So this energy saving lamp, worth 10 to 11, 12k. And you know, the items, they go around like up and down in the flea market like a wave. So there'll be a bottom price, and I know that you can buy lamps for around 8k. And if there's something that you like to barter, excuse me, you like to barter it regularly, I would add it to your wish list. Like my wish list is packed full of stuff. And then when things are low, I'll buy them. So what's a good example? Well, we have the lamps. Something that I buy pretty regularly. I haven't been playing a ton, so this is a little bit tough. These stimulants, these used to get down to like 30k. Right now they're at 50. I think they get down to like under 40k, so you know, I would try and buy them then. What's something else that I collect? Some of these things are for convenience, like these grips that go on an AK or foregrips. The reason why I highlight them is because they all do the same thing. They're just different colors, and this is like a really cheap way to mod an AK. As long as you can buy these rails, which comes from mechanic level 2. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So yeah, things that I might want to buy, like matches. Here's another good example. Matches get cheaper than this, and so I'll buy them when they're cheap, and you know, I'll either sell them when they're expensive, but usually I'll skip on matches in the raid. Yeah, sorry if I confused you at all, but yeah, so I'll sell an item, I'll see what its value is, so I can see here these pliers, they're not very expensive. So I would try and remember this, like, oh, okay, that's below 10k, and these are probably on that list. So yeah, there they are right there. So these items fluctuate below 10k, and again, this was late last wipe or last patch. What music am I using? This is it's called lo-fi beats, stream beats. So there's a creator, his name's Harris Heller, and his brand is called Alpha Gaming, and he does a lot of content creator free music, or like, you know, just free music that content creators can use, or that you're not gonna have to worry about DMCA strikes. So I've been doing that for a long time. What's the best thing to do if I go broke? Definitely, yeah, stonks, GME for sure. Scav runs, 100% scav runs. I mean, especially if you have access to the flea market, but even if you don't, then just like scav runs is the easiest way to earn money. Like if you're watching any of my past broadcasts where it was, you know, listing something about scav runs, I do runs in there where I think I make over 400k a run, and I just get all this stuff out of the raid, and you know, I don't think I sell it on stream there, but that's what I would recommend. So scav runs for sure. You know, you'll need to know the extracts, and then you'll need to be able to manage your inventory reasonably well to start getting that 400k mark, and you'll need to know the items, but you can still make a decent amount of money just hitting those loot caches on scav runs. And that's like if I was to give you like the shortest amount of learning possible, it would be scavving on whatever your favorite map is. I recommend customs, but some people don't agree. Scav, customs, learn the extracts, learn the hidden caches, and that'll make you money. Oh yeah, 400k in a raid, easy, Cajun. That's my average. I usually make more. Diamond hands. It's such a funny meme, right? Anyways, I'm gonna head out for the night. Thank you so much for the conversation. I went a little bit over than I'd planned. I got some homework. I got some other stuff I gotta do. I appreciate everyone chatting. Thanks for asking all the questions. If you ever want to get in touch, if you ever have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. You can do it on Twitter, Reddit, Discord. Any of those are cool. I check Discord the most often out of those three. And then, of course, you can always stop by the channel and come have a chat too. So hope you all have an awesome rest of your night. Thanks for checking out the stream. And I'm planning on staying and streaming on YouTube. So if you're wondering in my past content, you're like, oh, you mentioned Twitch. I'm probably just going to stay here on YouTube. This is the easiest way for me to connect with people that are actually viewing the content that I'm putting out. And yeah, I think it's probably the smartest use of my time. And I am still going to be working on videos, but just as time permits. It's basically how that's going to go. Reserve next, and then Woods is a plan in the future. But keep in mind, these videos tend to take about 40 hours to make. And I have no idea how long it's going to take me to be able to put 40 hours into a reserve video. I do have like a polished Scav run tutorial style video. So the same idea of what I've been trying to do here, where I'm doing loot runs. And I've put a mini map on that. I've actually done most of the work for that. I just need to do the voiceover, and then that one should be ready to ship. So soon. What does soon mean? I don't know. Soon means something. Yeah, thanks, Cajun. Nice chatting with you, man. Jerzane, have a good night. Gat awesome to see you again, too. I need to reserve time for it. That's right. Oh, man. We'll get along just fine. All right, you guys. Take care. Good luck with your raids. And we'll see you on, one of the next streams. We're here Sunday and Tuesday, 6 o'clock Pacific, usually for about an hour. Today was a little bit over. Sometimes